Extinction Protocol. The stars hung like distant lanterns against the void as Commander Ilara Voss stared through the viewport of the UEA's Defiance. Humanity's most advanced warship drifted at the edge of the Arcturus system, its mission a simple border patrol in this newly charted region of space. Ilara's reflection gazed back at her, sharp eyes set in a face weathered by 15 years of military service, hair regulation short, with premature streaks of silver that told stories of difficult decisions. "Commander, we're picking up unusual energy signatures," Lieutenant Kayabara called from the sensor station. "Nothing like we've seen before. Massive power readings at coordinates 227 to 8491. "Show me," Ilara ordered, moving to the tactical display. The holographic projection materialized between them, displaying a swirling anomaly that pulsed with colors that seemed wrong somehow, as though they existed partially outside human perception. "Is it a natural phenomenon?" she asked. "No, ma'am. Definitely artificial. And it's growing." The bridge fell silent as the anomaly expanded, folding space in ways that made the crew's eyes hurt to watch. Then, without warning, ships began to emerge, if you could call them ships. They resembled massive crystalline structures, each one unique yet clearly part of a collective design philosophy. They gleamed with an inner light that shifted through spectrums beyond human comprehension. 13 vessels detected, reported Tactical Officer Rivera. Configurations unknown. No match in any database. Open communications on all frequencies, Ilara ordered. Standard first contact protocols. Communications Officer Chen nodded. "Broadcasting now." For several tense minutes, there was no response as the alien fleet arranged itself in a perfect geometric pattern that seemed to fold into higher dimensions at certain angles. "Commander," Chen said suddenly, "we're receiving something. Not on any standard channel. It's coming through all systems simultaneously." The main viewer flickered, and the bridge crew collectively gasped. The being on screen wasn't remotely humanoid. It appeared to be a constantly shifting amalgamation of crystalline structures and energy patterns, with occasional stable formations that might have been sensory organs or communication appendages. "We are the architects." The translation came through, somehow both melodic and jarringly discordant. "We have observed your species for 17 of your orbital cycles. Your assessment is complete." Ilara stepped forward. "This is Commander Ilara Voss of the United Earth Ship Defiance. We represent humanity and seek peaceful." "Your species designation is irrelevant," the architect interrupted. "Your evolutionary trajectory has been analyzed and found inadequate. Your biological and social models contain critical design flaws that render you unfit for continued existence within the galactic ecosystem." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees. "I don't understand," Ilara said carefully. "What design flaws?" "Your species prioritizes individual variation over collective stability. You favor adaptability over perfection. Your genetic code allows for random mutations rather than guided improvement. These are fundamental errors in biological engineering." Lieutenant Ibarra whispered, "They're talking about us like we're some failed experiment." "We are the architects," the being continued. "For 300,000 years, we have shepherded evolution throughout this galaxy, preserving only the worthy designs. Your species fails our parameters. Extinction protocol has been authorized." The transmission cut without warning. Immediately, the tactical display erupted with warnings as the alien vessels began to power weapon systems unlike anything humans had encountered. "Shields up," Ilara ordered. "Evasive maneuver pattern Delta. Contact Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha." The Defiance lurched as its engines fired, narrowly avoiding the first attack, a beam of energy that seemed to distort reality itself where it passed. Where it grazed an asteroid nearby, the rock didn't explode or vaporize. It simply ceased to exist, leaving not even dust behind. "Physics negation weapons," Science Officer Dr. Amelia Rice reported, her voice tight with professional fascination and personal horror. They're not destroying matter. They're removing it from our universe entirely. For the next 20 minutes, the Defiance performed a desperate dance through space, using every evasive tactic in the book, and some that Commander Voss improvised on the spot. Earth had received their warning, but reinforcements would take days to arrive, if they came at all against such overwhelming power. "We can't keep this up forever," Rivera warned as another near-miss rocked the ship. "Shields at 64% and dropping." Dr. Reyes, Ilara called to the science officer, who was still analyzing the enemy's weapons. "I need options. Anything." Reyes looked up from her station, eyes wide with sudden realization. Their attacks. They're perfectly predictable. Each ship fires in precisely calculated patterns, maximally efficient, but absolutely consistent. No variation or adaptation to our movements. "That doesn't help if their calculations are good enough to hit us eventually," Rivera countered. "No, you don't understand," Reyes insisted. "They're not learning from our evasions. They're running the same attack patterns with minor mathematical adjustments, but not truly adapting their strategy." Ilara caught on immediately. "Because they don't value adaptation. They consider it a flaw." "Exactly. Their technology is vastly superior, but their tactical approach is rigid. Perfect, but inflexible." The ship shuddered as another attack grazed their shields. Ilara made a split-second decision. "Kai, plot us a completely irrational course. I want random changes, no discernible pattern whatsoever. Make it look like our navigation system is malfunctioning." "Commander," Ibarra questioned. "Do it. And Rivera, power down all weapons. Make us look damaged and non-threatening." As the Defiance began its erratic dance through space, the attacks from the architects became less accurate. Their perfect calculations failed against what appeared to be random, illogical movements. "It's working," Rivera said incredulously. "They're missing more often." "They don't understand unpredictability," Ilara realized. "It's outside their conception of proper behavior." For another hour, the Defiance performed its dance of apparent malfunction, gradually working its way toward the edge of the system. The architects, seemingly confused by the irrational behavior, maintained their distance while continuing their increasingly ineffective attack patterns. "We have a narrow window to jump to FTL," Ibarra reported. "But, Commander, I've been analyzing their fleet movements. They're not just after us. Their formation is oriented toward Earth. This was never just about the Defiance." Ilara's blood ran cold. "They're planning to exterminate our entire species. Based on their current vector and energy signatures, they'll reach Earth in approximately 72 hours. Dr. Reyes confirmed after checking her calculations, and Earth has nothing that can stand against them." Ilara stared at the tactical display, watching the crystalline ships maintain their perfect formation. A desperate plan began to form in her mind. "Dr. Reyes, would you say the architect's entire civilization is built around perfection and rigidity? Not just their weapons. Based on the little we've observed, yes. Their ships move in perfect mathematical harmony. Their communications arrive with perfect timing. There's no redundancy, no waste, no chaos. And that's exactly what humanity excels at," Ilara said, a grim smile forming on her lips. "We're going to show these architects what their perfect designs fail to account for. The evolutionary advantage of being unpredictable." She turned to Communications Officer Chen. "Send everything we've learned to Earth. Tell them not to attempt conventional defense. It won't work. Instead, provide them with our observations about the architect's psychology and tactics." "What's our plan, Commander?" Rivera asked. Ilara's eyes hardened as she looked at the alien fleet that had dismissed humanity as an evolutionary failure. "We're going to teach them why adaptation has always been nature's most powerful tool. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. We have 3 days to prepare humanity's most chaotic, unpredictable defense in history." As the Defiance jumped to FTL, leaving the architects temporarily behind, Commander Voss knew that the coming battle would determine not just the fate of Earth, but whether humanity's greatest flaw would prove to be its greatest strength. Evolutionary advantage. Earth bristled with activity as humanity faced extinction. Military vessels formed a defense perimeter while civilian ships evacuated to pre-established colonies on Mars and Europa. But unlike conventional preparations for war, these defenses followed no standard doctrine or established pattern. The Defiance docked at Earth's orbital station barely 12 hours after sending its warning. Commander Ilara Voss stood before the hastily assembled Joint Defense Council, composed of Earth's highest military and scientific authorities. "Let me be absolutely clear," she said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "Conventional warfare will fail. The Architect's technology exceeds ours by centuries, possibly millennia. But they have a critical weakness. They cannot comprehend or effectively counter unpredictability." Admiral Hassan leaned forward. "You're suggesting we don't fight them conventionally at all." "I'm suggesting we embrace what they consider our greatest flaw," Ilara confirmed. "Randomness, adaptation, individual initiative. Everything they despise about our species becomes our weapon." For the next 48 hours, Earth's defense forces implemented what came to be known as Chaos Protocol. Ships were grouped into small, autonomous units with independent command structures. Each unit received different tactical instructions. Some would use conventional weapons, others repurpose mining equipment. Some would execute perfect, mathematical attack patterns, while others would move completely randomly. Civilian hackers were recruited to create unpredictable communication protocols that changed constantly. Engineers modified weapons systems to fire at varying power levels with fluctuating frequencies. Nothing about Earth's defense would be consistent or predictable. As the deadline approached, Commander Voss returned to the Defiance, which had been specially modified according to her specifications. Dr. Rice had developed a revolutionary theory based on her observations of the Architect's weapons. Their physics negation technology operates on principles of perfect mathematical harmony. She explained as technicians installed the experimental countermeasure. It creates a localized field where our universe's physical laws are temporarily overwritten with their own parameters. But if we introduce enough quantum uncertainty into that field, we disrupt the harmony. Ilara finished, making their perfect equation unsolvable. "Exactly. I can't promise it will neutralize their weapons entirely, but it should significantly reduce their effectiveness." The alarm sounded throughout the ship. "The Architects have arrived," Lieutenant Abara announced. 13 vessels, same as before, emerging at the edge of the solar system. On the tactical display, the crystalline ships arranged themselves in the same perfect formation they had used at Arcturus. Their communication came through all channels simultaneously. "Your defensive preparations are noted but irrelevant," the Architect's voice resonated. "Your extinction will proceed as calculated. Your species' fundamental flaws cannot be corrected through temporary behavioral adjustments." Ilara opened a channel to all Earth Defense Forces. "Remember your instructions. No unit is to coordinate with any other. Follow your assigned patterns only. Embrace the chaos." What followed was the most unconventional battle in human history. Earth's vessels moved in patterns that defied tactical logic. Some charged directly at the Architect's ships. Others performed elaborate evasive maneuvers when not under attack. Communication frequencies shifted randomly. Weapons fired at unpredictable intervals with varying power levels. The Architect's response was initially devastating. Their reality distortion weapons eliminated several Earth vessels instantly. But as the battle progressed, something unexpected happened. The alien ships began to move less efficiently. Their perfect formation wavered slightly. "They're struggling to calculate effective responses," Rivera observed. "Their perfect mathematical models can't account for our randomness." "Now for Phase 2, Ilara ordered. "All units with quantum disruptors, target their flagship." The Defiance and 4 other vessels converged on the largest of the Architect's ships, deploying Dr. Rice's experimental technology. As the quantum disruptors activated, the Architect's weapons began to falter, their beams dissolving before reaching their targets. "It's working," Dr. Rice exclaimed. We're introducing enough uncertainty into their fields that they can't maintain mathematical precision. The architect's communication came through again, but this time it contained something new, a discordant note that might have been confusion or alarm. This behavior is not within predicted parameters. Your resistance follows no rational pattern. This is incorrect. Ilara smiled grimly. That's the point. Tactical, target their communication nodes with the modified EMP. Let's see how they handle a little more chaos in their perfect systems. The electromagnetic pulse was specifically calibrated to introduce random data fluctuations rather than simply disabling systems. When it hit the architect's flagship, the effect was immediate. The crystalline structure began to pulse erratically, its perfect symmetry disrupted. "Commander," Chen called out, "we're receiving thousands of separate transmissions from the architect's ships. It's like they're arguing with each other." Dr. Rice analyzed the data stream, her expression shifting from concentration to astonishment. Their collective consciousness is fracturing. Our unpredictability isn't just confusing them, it's forcing individual units within their collective to adapt independently. And they have no framework for resolving disagreements. They've never needed one, Ilara realized. Their perfect harmony meant they never evolved mechanisms for handling internal conflict. The architect's formation completely collapsed as their ships began moving independently, some retreating, others pressing the attack with increasingly erratic patterns. Their once perfect coordination had given way to something that looked almost like panic. "All units, press the advantage," Ilara commanded. "Focus on their flagship." Earth's forces converged, their chaotic patterns now serving a unified purpose. The architect's flagship, still struggling with internal discord, couldn't mount an effective defense. The quantum disruptors created windows of vulnerability in its otherwise impenetrable shields. "They're powering up something massive," Abara warned. "Energy readings off the scale." "It's a last-ditch effort," Dr. Rice concluded after analyzing the data. "They're attempting to create a reality reset field, essentially trying to rewrite local space-time to eliminate all our quantum uncertainty." "Can they do that?" Ilara asked sharply. "Theoretically, yes, but the energy requirements would be astronomical. They'd have to." Raya's eyes widened. "They're channeling power from their entire fleet into the flagship. They're sacrificing their other ships." Ilara made an instant decision. "Defiance will take point. All other vessels fall back to minimum safe distance. Kai, set collision course with the flagship." "Commander," Abara questioned, "their reality reset will emanate from a single point. If we can disrupt that point at the moment of activation, we might be able to reflect the effect back on them," Dr. Rice finished, catching on immediately. "But Commander, that would mean—" "I know exactly what it means, Doctor. Prepare the quantum disruptors for maximum output. Divert all power, including life support. We won't need it." As the Defiance accelerated toward the architect's flagship, the rest of Earth's defense forces scattered. The crystalline vessel glowed with accumulated energy, preparing to unleash its reality-rewriting wave. "Impact in 30 seconds, Abara reported calmly, though his hand shook slightly on the controls. "Quantum disruptors at maximum. Ready to activate on impact," Reyes confirmed. Ilara stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the alien vessel grow larger on the view screen. "You know," she said to no one in particular, "for beings that have guided evolution for hundreds of thousands of years, they missed the most important lesson. It's not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most responsive to change." 10 seconds to impact, Abara announced. Ilara took one last look at her crew. Humans, imperfect and wonderfully unpredictable. "It's been an honor serving with all of you. Activate quantum disruptors. Let's show these gods what human chaos can do." The Defiance slammed into the architect's flagship at the exact moment their reality reset field began to form. The quantum disruptors created a bubble of pure uncertainty at the point of impact, causing the carefully calculated field to collapse inward. For a moment, a sphere of impossible light engulfed both ships. Then, a reality wave expanded outward, but instead of the architect's perfect order, it carried human unpredictability. The remaining architect vessels were caught in the wave, their crystalline structures trying desperately to adapt to the sudden introduction of quantum uncertainty into their very being. One by one, they'd folded in on themselves, disappearing in flashes of multidimensional light as they retreated from a universe that suddenly refused to follow their perfect equations. The Defiance was gone. Commander Ilara Voss and her crew had sacrificed themselves to save not just humanity, but the principle of adaptive evolution itself. 3 days later, as Earth began to rebuild and mourn its losses, a small crystalline object was discovered in orbit where the final battle had taken place. When scientists managed to access its contents, they found a message, not in human language, but somehow perfectly understandable to every person who read it. Evolution continues. Adaptation acknowledged. The test is passed. Humanity had faced extinction at the hands of beings who called themselves gods, who had guided evolution throughout the galaxy for hundreds of millennia. And in one chaotic battle, they had proven that the very trait the architects considered a flaw, unpredictability, adaptability, embracing change rather than perfect order, was in fact the ultimate evolutionary advantage. As Earth looked to the stars again, humans did so not as failed experiments awaiting extinction, but as a species that had earned its place in the universe through the very chaos they carried in their DNA. End of. They claimed to be gods until humanity's worship broke their empire.